you've asked me a very difficult question on why I was repressed. I also don't know. And I am saying it in good faith. I didn't come here to accuse anyone today, or I only came to set the record straight. No one in the leadership of our coalition, from whichever position, has ever called me in regards to the position, in regards to what I need to do better, in regards to what I need to change, in regards to things that needed to be done in a different manner. It's very good for me to put it into record, because, as I said, I was holding this position knowing that I was serving Kenyans, so I am also answerable. And in sincerity say, there is no one who has ever called me, decision makers of our coalition, to say anything around this. I read in newspapers about myself the same way you do. And in terms of this position, that's what I mean. And that's the truth. Moses of Star. You know, Moses is a political journalist. I know him. So he's asking me that I need to say something around politics. Moses, I have your number and you have mine. And I want to assure you that when I need to talk politics, I'll call you. And I'm saying it respectfully. I only think that even this is also very important. And situko tu hapa Kenya. I mean, I'm not going anywhere, and Moses is still around. I know your job is not threatened in any way, so you are still in Star. So I'll be glad to also talk about that at the fullness of time. The other thing about Miriam, sorry, Millicent KBC. There are many things she asked about. Yes, I talked about one thing we did. What about the many others that are challenges that remains to be done? Of course, there are many. There are many things that we are work in progress for us as a country. And referencing to the position I was serving, the issue of public debt is a major challenge. The issue of stored projects is a major challenge. So there are many things that are a work in progress. There are other very important things like confirmation of other people who work for government, like the UHC staff. We had allocated some money before, but there is still some work to be done in terms of more allocation. And so that even those brothers and sisters can also have a chance to be compensated for the service they offer our country. And the other one, you've talked about public participation. I agree. Kenya is a robust country in terms of hearing your voice, but there is also work to be done in terms of incorporating all citizens, and especially in allocation of resources. There are things that I don't know whether there is a need to it. One of those things is public participation, because it's a continuous process which has to keep on improving, which has to keep on done better, because there is no perfection to it, but we can always polish it and do better about it. We can take another round. Let's talk.
Let me start. If you continued serving as the chair for budget, my name is Stephen Leto, Citizen TV. If you continued serving as the budget chair, will you allocate in the 2025-2026 financial year 72 billion shillings for Chapati?
Let me take a few more. Here's my brother. That I have not had any conversation directly or on phone with any leader of our coalition in regards to the position I used to hold. And I think if you look at it, it answers many things also, which I also don't want to go into. In terms of the relationship with other leaders, I respect everyone. I mean, I'm one of those people who believe there's no person who becomes a leader by just being fetched from wherever. There is always a process they go through. Because I am one, I know. And therefore, in terms of you've asked the relationship between the president and the former deputy president, the position I hold is that I respect every leader. And I could have things I need to talk about. I could have reservations on decisions made. But I don't think it has been within my role to talk about those things, especially in public. The other thing in that question is that maybe for clarity's sake, the last discussion I had with the president of the country, the last political discussion, either a chat or a discussion, as it were, was before October of last year. And I would not want, and you permit me to do that, not to discuss any further about any leader, because as you're all aware, I stopped serving in my position. It's barely a week. I also need to understand many things before I talk, because I believe as a leader, I mean, I lead people. There are people who look up to us as leaders. And therefore, even when you see that I am not answering some questions, it's not because I can't answer them. I believe you have covered me previously, and you know for sure that, respectively, in this world I only fear God. So whatever I need to say, I have no reservation of saying. But also, we are given wisdom to say when to say, how to say it. And I believe we are here in Kenya. We'll keep interacting. If there is more to be said, if there is more to be clarified, we are allowed. Ronnie, he has been to Kiharu, by the way, to cover. Taoja hii ni maji ya dimu kidogo ndio. Ndio mkiuliza swali kwa ikuwe sawa. Ronnie, you've been to Kiharu, and I am grateful. And by the way, I want to request anyone who would want to come to Kiharu to look at what we've been doing. We are more than glad to host you. We don't do these things, especially of hosting people, because we want to blow our own trumpet. We do these things because I am convinced that if leaders started competing on the basis of what they are doing, the country would become better wholesomely. If our competition as leaders is deliverables, and we compete about who is doing what in terms of tangibles and development, is a very good discussion that you would have as MPs, for example, because we hold CDF, and that is the reason why we would be glad even to host you. We have hosted, I think, 4 delegations of my colleagues in Kiharu on benchmarking exercises. We actually don't call them benchmarking. We call them peer-to-peer learning, because they also learn from them.